Food prices have been rising faster than most of us can keep up with, and if you felt your grocery bill eating more of your paycheck, you're not imagining it. But what if I told you the Bible holds a blueprint for saving money on food, without living on instant noodles or sacrificing your health? This isn't about extreme coupon clipping or chasing every sale. It's about ancient wisdom meeting modern shopping, turning your grocery trips into acts of financial stewardship and faith. In this video, we're going to uncover how God's principles, hidden in plain sight, can slash your grocery costs, multiply what you already have, and even create surplus for generosity. You'll learn how to shop like Joseph prepared for famine, how to outsmart the marketing tricks designed to drain your wallet, and how to turn even your leftovers into blessings. The best part? These steps aren't just theory. They work in today's economy right now, starting with your very next trip to the store. Whether you're feeding a large family or just yourself, you'll discover that daily bread can lead to daily abundance, if you follow the plan. And by the end, you might never look at your pantry or your money the same way again. Recognizing God's call to steward your food budget. In Scripture, stewardship isn't just about tithes and offerings. It's about managing every resource God places in your hands. Money is one of those resources, and so is the food you buy with it. Proverbs 27:23 tells us, "Be sure you know the condition of your flocks. Give careful attention to your herds." Today, your flocks might be your pantry, fridge, and bank account. Recognizing this is the first step to aligning your grocery spending with God's will. When you see your food budget as part of your kingdom assignment, every trip to the store becomes more intentional. Instead of rushing through aisles or grabbing whatever catches your eye, you begin to think, how can I honor God with this purchase? This changes everything. From what you buy to how much waste you allow. It's not about being stingy, it's about being wise. And wisdom always pays dividends, in both money and peace. In a practical sense, this means tracking your spending the way a shepherd tracks his sheep. Keep receipts, compare prices, and set a clear monthly food budget. Think of it as building a food ledger for your household. Just as Joseph tracked Egypt's grain during years of plenty, Genesis 41, you can track your household's food flow to prevent loss during times of inflation or scarcity. Many people assume saving money on groceries means eating less or eating poorly, but biblical stewardship is about multiplying, not subtracting. Jesus didn't divide the bread to make it smaller. He blessed it so it became more. This mindset transforms how you see discounts, bulk buying, and meal planning. Every dollar saved is a seed you can plant elsewhere, in investments, in your business, or in blessing others. Ultimately, recognizing God's call to steward your food budget creates a loop of provision. You spend less wastefully, invest the savings, and create more margin for generosity. And here's the hidden blessing. As you honor Him with your spending, you position yourself for Him to honor you with abundance. Which leads us to the next key, finding your promised land store, where those blessings begin to multiply. Choosing your promised land store. In the Old Testament, the promised land was described as a land flowing with milk and honey, Exodus 3:8. Spiritually, that's a picture of abundance, but in today's grocery world, your promised land store is the one that lets your money flow further without sacrificing quality. The truth is, not every store is created equal. Some are designed to squeeze every extra dollar out of you, while others quietly offer incredible value. The first step is to explore beyond your comfort zone. Many people shop at the nearest store out of habit, not realizing a few extra miles could save them hundreds every month. In financial terms, that's like rejecting a high-return investment because you didn't want to fill out the application. Just as Israel had to cross the Jordan to reach their blessing, sometimes you need to cross a few streets to reach your savings. Do your research. Compare prices on staple items like rice, eggs, chicken, and vegetables. Keep a simple spreadsheet or even use your phone's notes app. Over time, you'll identify patterns, stores that consistently beat others in price without compromising freshness. In my own journey, I've found that some discount chains and even restaurant supply stores can dramatically lower costs, especially if you're feeding a family. And remember, your promised land store may not be the fanciest. Just as David wasn't the tallest or strongest among his brothers, the best store for your finances might not be the one with the prettiest aisles or the slickest branding. The goal is not status shopping. It's kingdom-minded purchasing that stretches your resources. Once you find your promised land store, commit to it. Build a relationship with its rhythms. Know the best days for discounts, clearance times, and seasonal sales. This commitment transforms your grocery trips from random spending into strategic sowing, preparing you for the next principle, storing wisely and buying at the right time, just like Joseph in Egypt. The Joseph principle, storing wisely and buying at the right time. In Genesis 41, Joseph's wisdom saved Egypt from famine. He stored grain during the years of abundance, so there would be plenty during scarcity. This is not just ancient history, it's a financial blueprint. The Joseph principle means anticipating future needs and acting before prices rise. When you see an essential item on sale, buying extra is not greed, it's strategic stewardship. Timing matters. Just as farmers know the right seasons to plant and harvest, a wise shopper learns the seasons of the grocery market. Meat prices drop after holidays, produce is cheaper when it's in season, and bulk discounts often appear at the end of a sales cycle. This is when your money multiplies. By buying more of the right thing at the right time, you stretch today's dollar into next month's provision. Storing wisely also means protecting your investment. If Joseph had let the grain rot in poor storage, his plan would have failed. Likewise, buying extra chicken on sale only to let it spoil in your fridge is financial waste. Invest in good storage containers, learn proper freezing methods, and rotate stock so nothing expires. The goal is to make every purchase last as long as possible. Some people hesitate to buy in bulk because of the upfront cost. But think of it like investing. You're locking in today's lower price for tomorrow's use. The Proverbs 31 woman brings her food from afar and watches over the affairs of her household. Proverbs 31:14-27. She thinks ahead, and so should you. Planning purchases around sales is simply another form of sowing for a future harvest. When you apply the Joseph principle, you gain peace of mind. Your pantry becomes a storehouse, not just a cupboard. You no longer fear sudden price spikes because you've prepared in advance. And as you'll see in the next step, it's not just about what you buy, it's also about breaking the illusions that make you overspend in the first place. Breaking the brand illusion. One of the most expensive traps in the grocery world is brand loyalty. Advertisers spend millions to make you believe that their label is superior, even when the product inside is nearly identical to a generic alternative. Ecclesiastes 1:9 reminds us, there is nothing new under the sun. The same goes for many food items. Different packaging, same product. Breaking free from this illusion is a powerful way to make money go further. I've seen people pay double for cereal or pasta simply because of a familiar logo. But if you take time to compare ingredient lists, you'll often find they are virtually the same, sometimes even produced in the same facility. The difference? The brand is charging you for their marketing campaigns, not for better nutrition. When you realize this, switching to generics becomes an act of wisdom, not sacrifice. The practical approach is to run your own taste tests. Buy both the brand name and the store brand versions of staple foods, rice, peanut butter, canned beans, and compare them at home. You might be surprised how little difference you notice. In some cases, you may even prefer the generic. This small shift can save hundreds over the course of a year without changing your diet. From a biblical standpoint, this is about not letting your eyes deceive you. In 1 Samuel 16:7, the Lord says, "Man looks at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart." Apply the same principle to your groceries. Don't be swayed by glossy packaging. Focus on the actual value inside. True stewardship requires looking beyond appearances. Breaking the brand illusion frees you from unnecessary spending and trains you to value substance over style. And once you've stopped overpaying for labels, you're ready to take the next step, building a Proverbs-inspired plan to organize your meals and truly master your food budget. The Proverbs Pantry Plan. Proverbs 21:5 says, "The plans of the diligent lead surely to abundance, but everyone who is hasty comes only to poverty." Nowhere is this truer than in your kitchen. Without a plan, groceries get wasted, meals get skipped, and money vanishes. The Proverbs Pantry Plan is about designing your weekly meals with purpose, so every dollar you spend turns into nourishment, not trash. Start with a simple meal calendar. Spend 15-20 minutes each week deciding what you'll cook for the next 7 days. Write it down, then make your grocery list from that plan. This approach ensures you only buy what you'll actually use, avoiding the impulse cart that tempts you at the store. Over time, this discipline becomes second nature and your budget thanks you for it. Another key is to base your plan around what's on sale. If chicken breasts are discounted this week, plan 2 or 3 meals that use them. This is how business works. Companies adjust production based on market costs. As a wise household steward, you can do the same. It's not just saving money, it's operating your kitchen like a small, efficient business. The Proverbs Pantry Plan also includes a no extra rule. If it's not on your list, it doesn't go in the cart. Proverbs warns against being ensnared by desires, and the grocery store is full of snares. Buy one, get one deals you don't need, snacks you didn't plan for, and limited editions designed to drain your wallet. Stick to the list, and you'll see the difference within weeks. When you organize your pantry and meal plan with biblical diligence, you stop reacting to hunger and start proactively feeding your household. And as you'll see in the next step, not all cheap food is a blessing. Sometimes the lowest price comes with the highest hidden cost, avoiding the false economy of cheap junk. At first glance, grabbing the cheapest food on the shelf feels like a smart money move. But Proverbs 14:12 warns, "There is a way that appears to be right, but in the end, it leads to death." The same is true for what I call the false economy of cheap junk food. It may cost less today, but over time it drains your health, your energy, and ultimately your finances through medical bills and lost productivity. Ultra-processed snacks, sugary drinks, and fast food bundles often give you the illusion of value. They fill your stomach quickly but offer little in the way of real nourishment. As a result, you eat more to feel satisfied, which means you actually spend more in the long run. Spiritually, it mirrors the idea of chasing quick fixes instead of investing in lasting provision. The biblical model prioritizes food that sustains and strengthens. Daniel chose vegetables and water over the king's rich food. And after 10 days, he and his friends looked healthier and stronger. Daniel 1:15. That wasn't just a spiritual stand. It was a practical example of fueling the body with what truly serves it. Following this principle in modern shopping means choosing whole, nutrient-rich foods even if they cost a bit more upfront. From a financial perspective, think of healthy food as an asset, not an expense. It increases your return on life by keeping you alert, active, and able to work toward your goals. In contrast, a steady diet of cheap junk is like investing in a company that's slowly going bankrupt. It looks fine for now, but trouble is coming. When you stop falling for the false economy, your grocery cart begins to look like a long-term portfolio, filled with items that build value over time. And with this mindset, you can take the next step, applying the law of first fruits in your kitchen to ensure your essentials are always prioritized over waste. The law of first fruits in the kitchen. In the Bible, the law of first fruits, Proverbs 3:9, teaches us to honor God with the first and best of what we produce. While this principle often applies to tithing, it can also shape the way we manage our household resources. In the kitchen, it means prioritizing the essentials first, ensuring your foundational needs are met before spending on extras. Practically, this looks like setting aside a portion of your grocery budget for nutrient-dense staples, grains, fresh produce, proteins, before considering snacks, desserts, or specialty items. Just as the Israelites brought the first and best portion to God, you set apart the best part of your budget for the foods that will nourish and sustain your household. Everything else comes after. This discipline keeps you from being swayed by marketing or cravings. If your essentials are already covered, you can approach the rest of the store with a calm, focused mindset. You're no longer buying out of impulse. You're making deliberate choices that serve both your health and your finances. Think of it as building the foundation of a house before picking the paint color. In many ways, this practice also reduces waste. By planning around the essentials, you naturally cook and eat more of what you actually need. In biblical times, waste was seen as dishonor to God's provision. Today, it's also dishonor to your wallet. Respecting the first fruits in your budget ensures that nothing important gets left out or thrown away. Once you've mastered this, your kitchen stops being a place of random consumption and becomes a place of intentional provision. And when that happens, you can move to the next step, learning to turn even your leftovers into blessings, multiplying what God has already placed in your hands, turning leftovers into blessings. In John 6, after Jesus fed the 5,000, he told his disciples, "Gather the pieces that are left over. Let nothing be wasted." That wasn't just about food, it was about stewardship. In your kitchen, leftovers aren't scraps, they're resources waiting to be multiplied. When you learn to transform them creatively, you turn what others might discard into additional meals and extra savings. This requires a shift in mindset. Many see leftovers as boring or inferior. But with seasoning, sauces, and a little imagination, yesterday's dinner can become tomorrow's feast. For example, roast chicken can turn into chicken salad, a stir-fry, or soup. Rice can become fried rice, burritos, or breakfast porridge. This is culinary stewardship, extracting full value from every ingredient. From a financial perspective, using leftovers is like reinvesting dividends. You've already spent the money on those ingredients, now you're getting a second or third return without new spending. It's an immediate way to make money stretch, especially during seasons when grocery prices are climbing. Biblically, it aligns with the principle of multiplication. Just as the widow in 2 Kings 4 kept pouring oil until every jar was full, your ability to pour out from what's already in your kitchen can keep feeding your household without extra cost. The key is creativity, planning, and not letting things sit until they spoil. Once you begin turning leftovers into blessings, you'll find your grocery trips become less frequent and more strategic. And that leads perfectly into the next principle: shopping with God's order in mind, so you avoid the traps and illusions that can undo your careful stewardship. God's order in grocery shopping. 1 Corinthians 14:40 says, "Let all things be done decently and in order." While Paul was talking about church gatherings, the principle applies to every area of life, including your grocery shopping. Without order, you wander the aisles, fall for marketing tricks, and spend more than you intended. With order, every purchase becomes a deliberate step toward stewardship and abundance. One practical method is to shop the perimeter of the store first. That's where you'll typically find fresh produce, meats, and dairy, items that actually nourish you. The center aisles are where processed, high-margin products live, designed to catch your eye and inflate your bill. By sticking to the outer edges first, you ensure essentials are covered before temptations appear. Another part of God's order is paying attention to placement. Grocery stores intentionally put expensive items at eye level and cheaper or generic ones lower or higher on the shelves. This is where awareness becomes your shield. Train yourself to scan the full shelf, compare unit prices, and seek value rather than convenience. A few seconds of attention can save you dollars over time. From a biblical perspective, order also means preparing before you arrive. Just as Nehemiah surveyed Jerusalem's walls before rebuilding, you should survey your pantry and make a list before shopping. Going in without a plan is like going into battle without armor. You're exposed to every tactic designed to separate you from your money. When you shop in God's order, you not only protect your wallet but also your peace of mind. You walk out knowing you've honored Him with discipline and wisdom. And once you have this order in place, you're ready for the final step, moving from daily provision to a lifestyle of daily abundance, from daily bread to daily abundance. When Jesus taught us to pray for our daily bread, Matthew 6:11, He was reminding us to depend on God for provision. But dependence on God doesn't mean neglecting wise action. Once your basic needs are met, His desire is for you to live in overflow, not just barely getting by, but having enough to bless others. Moving from daily bread to daily abundance is about building on the habits you've learned so far. Financially, this shift happens when your grocery stewardship consistently creates surplus. That surplus might be money saved, extra food stored, or simply more time freed up from fewer trips to the store. Instead of scrambling to cover each week's meals, you have margin. Margin that can be invested, donated, or used to start a side business. This is where money begins to serve you instead of the other way around. Biblically, abundance is never just for you. 2 Corinthians 9:8 says, "And God is able to bless you abundantly, so that in all things at all times, having all that you need, you will abound in every good work." That means your savings on groceries could directly fund acts of generosity or projects God has placed on your heart. Your kitchen becomes a place where blessings flow outward. On a practical level, abundance comes from sustaining the disciplines you've built, shopping wisely, storing well, avoiding waste, and cooking creatively. Over time, these habits create a compounding effect. What used to feel like just getting by turns into stability, then surplus, then overflow. It's slow at first, but it accelerates with consistency. This is the point where food shopping is no longer a source of stress. It's a strategic, even joyful act. You see every grocery trip as an opportunity to honor God, care for your family, and create resources for kingdom impact. And that's the true reward, not just a full pantry, but a full life. If you've made it this far, you now hold a set of biblical and practical tools that can transform your grocery spending from a source of stress into a channel of blessing. But tools only work if you use them. Every shopping trip from now on is an opportunity to apply God's wisdom, to choose order over chaos, stewardship over impulse, and abundance over lack. These aren't just money hacks. They're kingdom principles that, when practiced consistently, free up your resources for greater purposes. Imagine what could happen if the money you saved at the store began funding a dream God has placed on your heart or meeting a need in someone else's life. Write in the comments, "I choose to steward my money God's way," and watch how this powerful declaration begins to shift the course of your business and your finances from this day forward. The choice is yours. You can keep letting the grocery store dictate your finances, or you can walk in as a wise steward, knowing exactly how to turn every purchase into provision and every meal into an act of gratitude. If this message spoke to you, consider supporting our ministry through the link in the description. Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so we can keep growing together in God's wisdom for life, business, and money.